Today's video, I want to talk about 5 ways you can kind of self-evaluate and see if you are still repressing emotions. Now, why is this important? Well, if you were in a toxic relationship, then you had to stifle your emotions. And the problem with stifling emotions is that they tend to get stuck. They tend to not enable us to process and release them. And then the past emotions that are unhealed have the ability to still affect our present life. And who wants that, right? So we're going to talk about 5 signs that will help you to know if you're still doing this. And at least once you know if you are, that's when you can start making changes, okay? So for those that don't know me, my name is Michele. I'm a life and relationship coach, and I'm the founder of the Thriver School of Transformation, which is an interactive monthly membership where we meet weekly and we learn how to put all of this into practice in our daily life. So if that's interesting for you, make sure you check out the link in the description box below. So the first sign you might be repressing your emotions is if when people ask how you are, and I'm not talking about people you've never met, because obviously people that you don't, know well, when they ask you how you are, we're not going to divulge our deepest, darkest secrets. But when you're friends, people that you consider yourself close to, when they ask how you are, you don't really share, right? Maybe you've been taught by somebody toxic that you don't matter, right? Everyone else matters but you. So you're always caring about your friends and how they're feeling, but when they ask how you are, you tend to repress the truth and just give a tiny superficial answer, which makes it not surprising that the second sign is the fact that you have one-sided relationships. If you do an inventory of the people in your life that you spend time with, and you realize that these are relationships where you give and give and give, and it's not reciprocated, then there's a big chance that you repress your emotions. Now, why would I say that? Well, if we didn't repress our emotions, we would make sure that we had boundaries in our friendships to the point that we aren't always giving and giving, right? We recognize the need for give and take in relationships, and we ask for help and we share what we're really feeling, which is what helps a relationship to be reciprocal, right? You can ask for help. You can say no. You can do things that are authentic because you're not afraid. People that are in one-sided relationships are stifling often a fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, and they're stifling it as opposed to working through it. The third sign that you may have suppressed emotions is that you may not be able to feel connected to your anger. Okay, I know in my face-to-face coaching, I've worked with people that have told me and shared with me horrible things that they've gone through. And the ones that have suppressed emotions, it's almost like they're detached. You can tell they're detached. They can tell they're detached. And I remember one man that I had coached he was from Canada, and he was telling me, he's like, I can feel angry at the injustice of somebody else doing something to, a child, a parent mistreating a child, but I can't feel angry about what was done to me. And again, that comes from being, raised in an environment where you weren't allowed. You weren't allowed to have your feelings. And so the brain realizes that, feelings are dangerous because in that kind of environment they are, and it thinks it's helping you by causing you now to stifle your emotions. Once your subconscious mind forms the belief anger isn't safe, or feelings at all, any feeling isn't safe, then it works to make sure that you don't feel. And I get people that tell me, they're like, Michele, it's like there's a switch that turned off and I can't seem to feel upset even when people treat me wrong. Even when I talk about what my family did, I can't feel that connection. And again, that's just another sign that there are repressed and stifled or unhealed emotions that are still inside of you. The fourth sign is if you're a people pleaser, right? If you're a people pleaser, usually the thought behind that is I have to make everyone happy because if I don't, something bad will happen. I can't say no. I can't be authentic because that will make somebody else upset. So when you're constantly stifling your authenticity and your real feelings and thoughts because, you want to just make sure the other person is okay or they're happy, then you're repressing your emotions. And it shows that you haven't worked through the fears that caused your brain to develop that coping skill to begin with. And the fifth sign, and again, this isn't an all-inclusive list, but these are things that I see all the time in my face-to-face coaching, and they're things that I see clustered together, and I see them a lot, okay? So the fifth sign that I see is that you minimize the pain that's done to you. Now, I've had clients that are still in relationships with covert narcissists, and they'll tell me the things that happen from one week to the next, right? Because many of them are working through a trauma bond. So to not forget, since the brain tends to delete, right, the bad that happens, they usually kind of take notes and try to stay grounded in what's going on in that week. So anyway, I've had clients tell me, this happened and this happened, and sometimes they're surprised. They're like, wow, I can't believe the amount of crazy things that happen in just 1 week. If I didn't write it down, I would forget. And then after realizing it, it's amazing how sometimes they'll say, but I think that he or she is just doing that because they had a rough childhood or they had a bad day and, it's not that big of a deal. Other people have it worse. Or this is one that I hear a lot. He or she had it worse when they were growing up. Their parent was so horrible. So, I understand it's not a big deal. And so what's really going on is that the pain that's getting inflicted is being stifled. Now, why is this important to know if you're doing this? Well, if you are stifling emotions, it's not healthy for you emotionally or physically. Unhealed and unprocessed emotions make it really hard to have healthy relationships with other people and even healthy relationships with ourselves, right? It makes it really hard, and it makes it hard to move forward after emotional trauma. So it's not comfortable. It's definitely not comfortable to go through the emotions that are being stifled, that are being repressed, or that were repressed in the past. It's not fun, it's not exciting, but it is very empowering because you let go of emotions that are causing you to, have your cortisol, your nervous system and brain all dysregulated, right? It also helps you to start being able to feel your feelings, to express your feelings, so you start having healthier relationships with others, and it helps avoid illness, right? Because when we have those trapped emotions inside of us, dis-ease causes disease. And so it's really important to work through those emotions. If you have been trying to do this and you have a hard time doing this on your own, make sure you check out the Thriver School of Transformation, because this is what we do on a weekly basis in a supportive group with people from all over the world that are also working to do the same things. So the link to that is always in the description box below.